An African nurse met a Korean billionaire in the hospital. Their love story shocked everyone. The winter wind swept through the streets of Seoul like a silent warning. Snow fell gently over the city, covering skyscrapers and neon lights in a quiet blanket of white. Inside Hanul Medical Center, the night shift had just begun. For most people in Seoul, the night meant rest. But for Amara Okoye, the night meant work. Amara adjusted the sleeves of her pale blue nurse uniform as she walked down the hospital corridor. The fluorescent lights reflected off the polished floor, and the faint smell of antiseptic filled the air. At 26, Amara had traveled thousands of miles from Nigeria to South Korea. She had come with a dream to build a better future for her family back home. Her father had once told her something she never forgot. Kindness will take you farther than money ever can. Those words guided her every single day. While many nurses rushed through their shifts, Amara took time with every patient. She listened. She comforted. She cared. And, because of that, patients often asked for her by name. But on this particular night, something unusual was about to happen. Something that would change her life forever. The emergency arrival. The calm atmosphere of the hospital shattered when the emergency doors burst open. Several doctors rushed in alongside security guards. On the stretcher lay a tall man in a black suit, unconscious. "Clear the hallway," one doctor shouted. The nurses whispered among themselves. "Who is that? Why are there so many bodyguards?" One of the senior nurses gasped quietly. "That's Kang Min-jae." The name spread through the hallway like wildfire. Everyone in Korea knew that name. Kang Min-jae was the CEO of KJ Global Technologies, a company worth billions. At 32 years old, he was one of the youngest tech billionaires in the country. Powerful, brilliant, and famously cold. Rumors about him filled the business world. People said he worked 20 hours a day. Some even claimed he barely slept. Now he lay unconscious on a hospital bed. A doctor turned toward the nurses. "We need someone to monitor him tonight." The nurses looked at each other nervously. Min-jae had a reputation for being extremely demanding. No one volunteered. Then the doctor pointed. "Nurse Okoye, you'll take this case." Amara blinked in surprise. "Yes, doctor." She stepped forward calmly, unaware that the patient in front of her was one of the most powerful men in Asia. Their first conversation. Min-jae regained consciousness an hour later. His dark eyes opened slowly. The first thing he saw was Amara checking his foreline. "You're awake," she said gently. His voice was rough. "Where am I?" "You're in Hanul Medical Center. You collapsed from severe exhaustion." Min-jae frowned. "I need my phone." Amara crossed her arms. "No." He looked at her in disbelief. "No, you need rest. Stress and overwork caused your collapse." No one had spoken to him like that in years. Most people were too intimidated. But Amara didn't look afraid. She simply looked concerned. Min-jae studied her face carefully. "You're not Korean. I'm Nigerian. And you're telling me what to do?" "Yes," she replied calmly. "Because right now, you're my patient." For a moment, silence filled the room. Then something unexpected happened. Min-jae laughed. It was the first genuine laugh he had had in months. The unexpected bond. Over the next few days, Min-jae remained in the hospital. Amara checked on him regularly. Unlike everyone else, she never treated him like a celebrity. She spoke to him normally. Sometimes she even scolded him. "You need more sleep. You shouldn't skip meals. You work too much." Strangely, Min-jae didn't mind. In fact, he began looking forward to her visits. One evening, while the city lights flickered outside the hospital window, he asked her a question. "Why did you come to Korea?" Amara sat beside the bed. "I wanted to become a better nurse." "Just that?" "And to help my family." She explained how her mother ran a small shop in Lagos and how her younger siblings were still in school. Min-jae listened quietly. For the first time in years, he felt something unfamiliar. Admiration. The gossip begins. But hospitals are full of whispers. Soon the staff began noticing something strange. The billionaire CEO always asked the same question. "Where is Nurse Okoye?" Rumors started spreading. Some nurses rolled their eyes. "Of course. She's trying to get his attention. Others were less kind. She probably came to Korea looking for a rich husband. Amara overheard the gossip one afternoon. The words stung. She had worked so hard to earn respect. Now people believed she was chasing money. That night, she made a painful decision. She would request a transfer. The next morning, Min-jae waited. But Amara didn't come. He waited another hour. Still nothing. Finally, he asked a doctor. "Where is Nurse Okoye?" The doctor hesitated. She requested a department transfer. Min-jae felt a strange emptiness in his chest. Why would she leave? Later that day, he finally saw her in the hallway. "Amara." She stopped walking. "You're leaving." She looked down. "It's better this way." "Why?" "People are talking." Min-jae understood immediately. His fame had created the problem. For the first time in years, the billionaire didn't know what to say. The truth revealed. 2 days later, Min-jae was discharged from the hospital. Life quickly returned to normal. Meetings, contracts, investors. But something felt different. Something was missing. Late one night, he sat alone in his penthouse overlooking Seoul. He kept remembering the way Amara spoke to him. Not like a billionaire. Like a human being. So he made a decision. He asked his assistant to investigate. "What do you want to know about her, sir?" "Everything." Days later, the report arrived. What Min-jae read shocked him. Amara had sent most of her salary back to Nigeria. She lived in a tiny apartment. And when the hospital offered her a promotion because of his influence, she refused. She had never once tried to use his wealth. The search. Min-jae realized something important. Amara was the only person in his life who had cared about him before knowing who he really was. He couldn't lose that. So he began searching for her. After several weeks, he finally found her working at a small community clinic on the outskirts of Seoul. He walked inside. Amara looked up in surprise. "You shouldn't be here." "Why?" "Because people will talk again." Min-jae stepped closer. "I don't care." She stared at him. "You're a billionaire, Min-jae. Your world is different from mine." He shook his head. "No." Then he said something that changed everything. "My world is empty without you." The decision. Amara hesitated. She had seen how powerful people could destroy lives. But Min-jae's eyes held no arrogance. Only sincerity. "Why me?" she asked quietly. He smiled softly. "Because you were the only person who cared whether I lived before knowing I was rich." Tears filled her eyes. For the first time, she allowed herself to believe his words. The shocking announcement. Months later, a massive press conference took place in Seoul. Journalists from around the world gathered. Everyone expected a business announcement from the billionaire CEO. Instead, Min-jae stepped onto the stage holding someone's hand. Gasps filled the room. Standing beside him was Amara. He looked directly into the cameras. "This woman saved my life." Whispers spread through the crowd. "She's a nurse. From Africa." Min-jae continued speaking. "She reminded me that success means nothing without love." Then he said something that shocked the entire country. "She is the woman I love." Flashbulbs exploded across the room. The story spread across Korea overnight. Some people criticized. Others celebrated. But one thing was certain. Their love story had captured the world's attention. 1 year later, snow once again fell over Seoul. Inside a small clinic funded by Min-jae's charity foundation, Amara watched patients arrive with smiles. Min-jae walked in carrying coffee. "Still working too hard," he teased. She laughed. "And you?" "Learning to slow down." He looked around the clinic. "You changed my life." Amara shook her head. "No." She held his hand. "We changed each other's lives." Outside, the snow continued to fall quietly over the city. And somewhere in the distance, Seoul whispered the story that had shocked everyone. The story of a billionaire. And the nurse who taught him the true meaning of love.